Good evening. My name is Deborah Watkins, aka Auntie Deb. I am a certified Christian life coach, and I am the author of the book From Mediocre to Marvelous: Get Out of Your Rut and Live a Fulfilled Life. How's everyone doing this evening, especially my honeybees? I'm a little late this week getting up my video because I have been under the weather. I have been really sick with some respiratory stuff, and so I wasn't able to put out my videos. Usually I put one out every Monday, and I wasn't able to put it out this Monday. And that was largely because my son and I and daughter-in-law, we went to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania this past weekend. And we were there from Thursday to Sunday. And we had a wonderful weekend. But when I came back on Sunday, I felt like a truck had hit me. Okay, I was like out of it. But anyway, it was a good weekend. It was an interesting weekend because different perspectives. Different perspectives. I'm in a different season of life. My son is in another season of life. And when we were talking about, going to Philadelphia, now we were going there for a purpose. They were going to a wedding. I was going there to babysit my granddaughter. And my son was like, well, Mom, when is the last time you've been to Philadelphia? And I was like, oh, it's been years. I had no interest in going to Philadelphia. It's really like a dump. And he was like, what? Like, no, I love Philadelphia. He's like, that's one of my favorite cities. And I was like, why? And, but then as I think about it, we're in different seasons of life, and we have a different viewpoint of life. We have a different worldview. And we have to respect one another's worldview, right? So he is in corporate America. He's in the beginning stages of life, right? He's in the spring of life. He's young. He's in his 30s. He's a professional. He's in corporate America. He's been in corporate America his entire career, which has only been about 7 to 8 years. And he's been very successful. And so his experience in Philadelphia has been that. It's been, corporate, metropolitan, young, up and coming. And so that's his world. That's his worldview. Mine, I'm like in the season of my life, I'm looking at things from a more humanitarian viewpoint. And I look at, Philadelphia, just like most of your major cities, gentrification. There's neighborhoods with people dying on the street. I mean, it's just some things there that, it's just not that cool. And so that's, how I see things. But now where we both saw beauty, because we're both creatives, I went to the art museum while I was there, and they had an exhibit. There was a young man by the name of Noah Davis. And Noah Davis is this extraordinary artist. I mean, extraordinary artist. Oh my God. I was so impressed with his art. And he had this wonderful exhibit, this wonderful exhibit at the Philadelphia Art Museum. I don't know if it's still there or not. And so once you went through this whole exhibit, right? And then they had like some videos of him talking about his life as an artist. And I liked one thing that he said when this woman was interviewing him. She said, what else did you want to do in life? And he said, nothing. He said, because I can't do anything else. And she was like, what do you mean you can't do anything else? He said, I can't do anything else. This is the only thing, art is the only thing that I can do. And so I was either going to be successful at it or I was going to fail at it, but this was all I was going to ever do. And I was like, wow, he knew what his ikigai was, right? And so, we're looking at his art, we're going through that thing. And then this woman who was walking through, because I missed it, and I don't know how I missed it. She was, walking through with me. It was a group of us. And she said, he died. Did you know that he died? And I was like, really? Like, how old is he? How old was he? And they said 32. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, wow, that's so young. And, I was like, man. So I was just thinking about, his life. And even though he only had a short span of life, what he left to the world. And he died of cancer. It was some type of rare skin cancer. And he curated like 18 exhibitions from his hospital bed, right? And so he only was able to go to one of his exhibits. So he really left us this mark in the world of art. And I was like, well, he came here and did what he was sent here to do, what it was that he was supposed to add to life. And then I thought about other people who died young, but the contribution, like Martin Luther King was 32, if I'm not mistaken. He was in his 30s. But look what he did. His mark on the world. His mark on the world. And 2 days ago, I got a emergency signal on my phone. It was just like, and it sounded like the Amber Alerts. It was like an alert on my phone, right? It was early in the morning. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I get this alert, and I'm like, oh boy, it's an Amber Alert, right? So I go over to my phone, because I don't pick up my phone early in the morning. I don't pick up my phone and look at my phone. When I get up in the morning, I do not go to my phone. Okay, that's not the first thing I do in the morning. I do other things, and I have these other rituals that I do in the morning, but picking up that phone and looking at social media, or looking at text, or looking at, no. Get yourself, centered and focused before you start doing that stuff in the morning. Get yourself centered and focused. Don't get on the phone. But when the alert came on the phone, I was like, oh man, it must be one of those Amber Alerts. And I picked up the phone, and it was the area where I live giving us a broadcast that there was a serious accident on the highway that's near my home where I live. It was like in between two exits of where I live, there was a fatal accident. 2 people died. And I was like, oh my God. Now I didn't know that the people had died. I just knew that it was a serious crash. And it had to be really, really bad for them to give us an alert on our phone. I had never had that happen before. And so I was like, well, that must have really been serious for them to give us an alert, And then later on that day, I looked at the news, and the news said 2 people had died. And I was like, oh my God. Because that's so close to where I live, right? And who knows, I could have been. I frequent that particular exit. I go on that exit all the time, just about every other day. I'm on that exit. And so, and I'm quite sure a lot of you have had that experience as well. A lot of you have had that experience as well. But I'm saying all that to say that, and so, a lot of people are probably saying, yeah, okay, well, people die every day, blah, 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 blah. I know. But my message is that because people die every day, and sometimes they die like this, that's why, when I wrote my book, And my subtitle is Get Out of Your Rut and Live a Fulfilled Life. We have to get out of ruts. If you're in a rut, I want you to get out of the rut, because life is a mist, it's a vapor. The Bible says, these are some of the verses that the Bible says about life, right? That I want to read. This is what the Bible says. All right, bear with me now. Bear with me. It says, let me put on my right glasses. Okay. He says, the length of our days is 70 years or 80 if we have the strength. He says, teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And that's Psalm 90. But this is the one. He says, Psalms 103, 15 through 16 says, as for man, his days are like grass. He flourishes like a flower of the field. The wind blows over and it is gone. Right? It is gone. He says in James 4:14, he says, why you do not even know what will happen tomorrow? What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Now, then, when you're young, you don't think about this, but now that I'm even on the stage and I realize how brief life is. He says in Psalm 39, 4 through 5, he says, Lord, remind me how brief my time on earth will be. Remind me that my days are numbered, how fleeting my life is. We don't have time to waste just sitting there saying, woe is me, or, my life sucks, or, I'm not. It's a whisper. Before you know it, it'll be gone, and it could be gone. And so you're saying, okay, well, if my life should be gone, what do I need to work on anything for? Because I'm telling you this, when you're working towards something, even if you don't get there, your life still feels better. You still feel better about your life when you're working towards something. It brings you a certain amount of satisfaction, a certain amount of joy, a certain amount of satisfaction. I was wondering what that was. It's like I'm like, it's like heat coming from my body, and so there's like these. You see these little vapors on my glasses? That's condensation. That's from heat from my body. I'm like, what is going on here? But anyway, I said all that to say this. I want us to always be working towards something. Now, I've always been career driven and a creative, but I had to break the cycle of starting over, and I had to do that by overcoming self-doubt and becoming consistent, and then I was then I was able to achieve my goals. And now we have all kinds of ways to help us get there now. Back when I was coming up in the world, we had to figure it out. Now you have people like me who can help you figure it out so you don't waste so much time. And so you get a life coach or a mentor, someone who can help you not waste time, right? And get more focus and get clarity as to what direction you should be going into or what it is that you may want to do. So, as I said before, life is a mist, it's a vapor. the word tells us, all right, as well. So I just wanted to leave you with those words, and I didn't want to leave this week, okay, without saying some words, okay? Even though I had been under the weather, I was determined that I was going to get on here and talk to my folks this week before it was up. Also, happy Women's History Month to all the beautiful women out there making moves and making history. And for 31 days, I am posting on Facebook, Instagram, a woman and a quote that she made, a famous quote that a woman made, and a woman in history made. So I'm doing that for the whole month of March. Every single day, you will see a woman and a quote that she gave. Because I love quotes, are wisdom, words of wisdom, and that's why I like Proverbs so much. Because Proverbs is to me is quotes, words of wisdom. All right. Bye bye.